everyone, welcome back. This is the new series that I started last month. It's called Dear Future Bride. And this is all about brides that have had weddings in the past, that giving themselves advice, what would they have done differently in their weddings, and also what advice would they give future brides if you're getting married in 2025, 26, 27, 28. If there's anything that you are on the fence with in these video series, we're going to be talking about things that people would have done differently or done the same. So today we are with Samantha. Samantha is with me, and we did her wedding last year in 2024.
Yeah, it's going to be a year on Sunday.
It's going to be a year on Sunday. So the questions that I already sent you ahead of time, and everybody knows this, just gives you an idea of where the questions that I wanted to talk about, because I feel like a lot of brides and wedding couples just have no idea what they're doing. They're very either uneducated or they're getting information from parents that were married 35 years ago, and they're the first of their friends to get married. So their friends haven't been married. So they're like, they have no idea where to guide. So the best advice is somebody who's already been through it.
Absolutely.
And you've been through it.
I have.
We've been through it. So, we were at the Boylston Room.
We were.
We were at the Boylston Room, and if you don't know that place, I'll link it down in the description down below. It is in my opinion, one of the most iconic places in East Hampton.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful inside of there with all of the rooms that they have and the availability, and the staff is amazing and everything else like that. So, all right. Dear future bride, this is advice. We're going to start after saying yes. This is question number one. After saying yes, what did you do first for planning your wedding? Was it the season, the month, or the location?
So right after we got engaged, because we got engaged on vacation in Disney, we got back to the room that night, and I looked at him and I go, okay, I have 3 months for you. You can pick the month, but I have 3. And the 3 choices were September, October, or April. Okay. I knew I didn't want summer. I don't enjoy the heat, and I didn't want winter because I didn't want to deal with a snow delay on your wedding day. So those were the choices of months, and he went from there because we have birthdays and other things in the fall, so we went with spring. And then after that, it was, I need a list. We needed to create our lists for our families. So I sat down with my mom, and I'm like, all right, who is the list? He sat down with his, and who is the list? And then figuring out a number, because I couldn't go and try and find a venue until I had a number. That was so important.
That's great advice.
Yes.
Because you could fall in love with a venue, and if they can't accommodate your number, great advice.
And in reverse, if I ended up having a smaller number and got this giant venue.
Good point.
So it was really important. I needed a number first.
Great place to start.
Yeah, and from there, location-wise, all of our families local, very local around here. So it was important to us to stay local. I didn't want to have to deal with blocking off hotels or long drives or anything like that. So staying local was super important to us. That's sense. How we kind of looked in everything was 40 minutes away. Max was our surrounding area. But we ended up falling in love with Boylston Rooms. How
many venues did you go through before you zeroed in on the Boylston Room?
Probably 4 or 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Boylston Rooms happened to be the first one we went into, and immediately fell in love. It was one of those things that I knew I did not want a traditional banquet hall or anything like that. I wanted something the Boylston Rooms is more industrial, so I wanted an industrial or barn or something different. I did not want a banquet hall. Yeah. So we toured there first. I fell in love. And Sabrina, my sister, as we left, or maybe it was a couple weeks later, she told me when we committed to it, she goes, I knew that was going to be your venue. It was just the way Bailey and I were just in awe of it. It was just so easy to picture. The other venues we saw were also beautiful and amazing. We actually toured the Mill here, and it was beautiful, but there was just something drawing us to the Boylston Rooms. And honestly, one of the big things that drew us to the Boylston Rooms was the amount of things they had to borrow. They had so many leftover decorations in a sense that I didn't have to worry about buying or purchasing the decorations. So any of our centerpieces, that was just stuff they had there. Tablecloths, the color, I didn't buy a lot of decorations for the wedding at all, which was amazing.
So decorations was not a priority?
No, because I lack style.
Okay.
It's just, I don't.
Fair enough.
I don't.
You know your lane. That's good.
I do. I know my lane. When it comes to that, my sister helps me a lot with having to decorate and find pieces that work together. It's just not my thing. Like, I'm very simple.
And I feel like a lot of wedding couples are the same way. They're not like stylistically inclined with, they want centerpieces to look certain ways. So what advice would you give a wedding couple that falls in love with a place, but they don't have the decorating sense? Do they find a place that can help them decorate? Or would you say find the place that you want and then outsource the rental stuff so that you tell them what the colors and the palettes, and then they get decorations for you?
You can do it either way.
Okay.
This just worked best for us because, like I said, I'm not a style person to try and come up with something. So it took a huge stress off of me to have to try and find the things or come up with the centerpieces okay, if we have 20 tables and I want 20 jars that look like this, now I need to make sure that the store has 20.
Good point.
So it was a lot of pieces like that.
Yeah. And you wanted to focus your attention on other things where your strengths were.
Yes.
Good. That's good advice. That's good advice. All right. Number 2. What were the 3 most important things to you on your wedding day? Was it venue, photography, food, atmosphere? Was it dress? Like, what was the top 3 things that were the most important things to you?
So the venue is really important to us. Just where, and because you do take pictures and those pictures last forever, what are we going to be seeing in those pictures? So following up with that, the photographer was super important to us. Making sure that we had 1, amazing pictures, but 2, a photographer that made us feel comfortable with taking photos. Like, Bailey and I are not, we're not models. We don't take photos often.
No wedding couples are.
No. So it was important to have someone that had a really great personality to be able to make us feel more comfortable when it came to taking those photos. Yeah. So that was super important.
So hall and photography. What was your third? And we can go forth, but was there a particular order, or everything just fell in after that?
Kind of. So we did venue first, and then after we did venue, the way we did it is so we were. My husband has a family friend, Dale Damaris. Yep. So we started with JP.
JP, yep.
So we got our JP, and from our JP is kind of where we got the recommendations. And I think from JP we went to photographer and then videographer. And I was not as worried as cake because bakeries can do multiple cakes in one day.
Correct.
Florist, same thing.
Correct.
However, I didn't do a florist. I did solo wood flowers, and I just bought them and I dyed them and put them together. And honestly, it's one of my favorite memories through the whole wedding process.
I love hearing that. Some people dread that part.
No, so my flower bouquet is actually still in my living room because it's wood. It just hangs out. Yeah. But no, one of my great aunts used to work in a florist. So my grandmother, her sister, which was my great aunt, would come over. And so it was my oma, my aunt, my mom, my sister, and we'd all sit there and we'd be putting the green tape around the stems, and my aunt would be putting them together.
I love that.
It was a lot of fun.
To me, that's a very important part of, some people dread the doing it yourself part, and then they take too long to do it. For you, you had an experience with other people around you doing it at the same time. Yeah. That's the right way to do that. That's good. That's good advice. That's good advice.
That do-it-yourself was so worth it to me. I've seen other brides do a lot of DIY projects, and big props to them.
That's not you.
No, I took that was my one project. So after that, I focused, I did cake. So I guess my top 3 important things in order would be venue, photographer, and cake. The dessert to me was super important because we knew we did not want to do a giant tiered cake. It was important to find somewhere that would do cupcakes for us at an event like that. Just because it makes it easier.
Yeah.
To have many different flavors. Yeah.
Yep. And you had, so going down the order again of what you had in your order was banquet hall and the Boylston room, and then you have photography, and then the cake was a very important part of it. And that was Pete Sweets that ended up doing your cake and your cupcakes and stuff like that.
People raved about our cupcakes.
And Dale Damaris was your justice of the peace. After that, was your DJ fall into that category then?
Yes. I think after, I knew I was forgetting something. I think after photographer was actually DJ, and then DJ was after we found, we did videographer, cake, and all of those pieces afterwards. And I feel
like that's probably accurate to the way you should address your day is booking your venue first and then getting your DJ and your photographer. It doesn't matter which order that is. Those are the 3 pieces that get booked a year and a half in advance. cake and decorations and things can all be done, within the year coming up to your wedding, within 8 months of doing your wedding.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff really should be booked a year to a year and a half in advance for the people that you really are set on, that you fall in love with.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So that's great advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. What would you prioritize your spending of which actually kind of goes right along with it too, because I feel like those in the order that you just did was kind of in the order of what cost the most. The venue, the photographer, the DJ, and then down the list from there. Other than dress, I feel like at what point, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. You had parents on both sides helping you. That is a rare situation nowadays. So
we were so blessed.
What advice would you give somebody as far as prioritizing spending when somebody is either doing it themselves, paying for themselves, or they have limited people helping them?
I still say venue super important. After venue, we were really lucky our venue had food tied right into it. Like I
With
didn't
the caterer.
have to, yeah, so we didn't have to worry about finding an outside caterer. Otherwise, I'd put those two like hand in hand.
Great point. Great point.
But it would be, for me, the venue / caterer and then photographer, because those pictures do last forever. Like it's important to have a photographer that knows what they're doing and
And at what point did your dress come into play?
So
some people do it differently. They kind of like dress as even higher than the DJ and photographer sometimes.
Yeah, so I want to say I went dress shopping January of 2023, and my wedding was April of 2024. More than a year in advance, we started doing the dress. Yeah. Which, thank goodness, because the dresses take like sometimes 6+ months to come in when you order it.
That is a very good, and I forget, as a photographer, I don't know what time frames people bring in their, have to get things ordered and stuff like that. Let's talk about the dress for a second. Where did you get it from?
Penny Jane Bridal.
Perfect. What advice would you give a bride, regardless if let's say their wedding is a year away. If they're dead set on a certain style of a dress, what advice would you give them? Because I forgot about the time that it takes to get the dress in. Let's talk about the dress for a minute.
So in terms of dress shopping?
Yeah.
So I went in dead set against many things with a dress.
Against?
Yep. I'm like,
that's smart. You knew exactly what you didn't want.
And the lady told me, try everything. And it was the best advice I was given, dress shopping. Because try everything when it comes to dresses. Don't say no. Because one, trying on wedding dresses is so much fun. Like, it honestly was the best experience. Like, you just feel amazing in everything, and there's so many different styles and, like, things to see on dresses. So I said, I tried on everything. The one thing I was against was a strapless dress. Okay. I was like, I did not want strapless. However, I loved the strapless dress. I loved the strapless dress.
But you wouldn't have known if you liked it or not until you put it on. Nope. That's really good advice. Just try it on, whether you think you're going to like it or not.
I told my best friend that when she went wedding dress shopping over the summer, and she got a dress total opposite of what she assumed she was going to be getting.
Wow.
Yeah. So it definitely try everything. Like, don't say no.
Good advice.
Like, go in with an idea for sure.
Yeah.
But don't say no.
Yeah. Because once you do get it and you're within 8 months of your wedding and it takes 6 months to get the dress, you're looking at a time crunch right there. So get your dress as early as possible. Yep. Okay, good advice. Good advice. All right, number 4. Hey everyone, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor of the video. The sponsor is Wedding Insiders Network. It is WIN, W-I-N. This platform is going to revolutionize the wedding industry when it comes to connecting wedding vendors with wedding couples. If you're a wedding couple and you're engaged, congratulations. Go to the platform. The link will be in the description down below. Go to the platform, sign yourself up, your fiance, put all your information inside of there, create your portfolio, and then click on Find Vendors, and you'll have a plethora of information in front of you. They're all separated by tabs. So if you're looking for a photographer, DJ, a baker, caterer, venue, go to any one of the tabs and all of the preferred vendors are all inside of there. Start looking through the storefronts, find something that vibes with you. And then the best part about it is all within the platform. You do your messaging and connecting and networking, and everything is all done inside of the platform. Message the vendor and talk to them and set up either a conversation on phone call or Zoom or email or something, and all inside the platform. It keeps track of each one of your conversations and who you've been in contact with. You can favorite certain vendors inside of there, although you want to go back and look at them later on. So it's a win-win for wedding couples to get involved with a platform like this, because it has great vendors at their fingertips. Professional vendors. This is the platform that you want to be on. These are all real clients inside of here that you're going to be able to connect with and network with, and go through there, find couple, click on the tab that says find couple, find some couples in there that your dates are available for. You can message them. All the information is going to be inside of there. If you're looking for a venue, you can click on the venue. You can go to their preferred vendors. You can collaborate within the platform, network within the platform, also from vendor to venue and venue to venue, all that different stuff like that. And wedding couples, you will go to a venue and you'll be able to see preferred vendors under their list that they've worked with and are familiar with. So if you're looking for people that can collaborate together, this is the platform. So if you're newly engaged, this is the platform you want to be on. And if you are a professional vendor, this is the platform that you want to be on. So the link will be in the description down below. This sponsorship of this video is from weddinginsidersnetwork.com. So I'll see you on the platform. Advice. All right. Number 4, why and how did you pick your wedding venue? How many? We already answered that.
Yep.
So you went to 4 or 5 different venues. Yep. That's perfect. So I love how we didn't go there. Okay, let's number 5. How did you pick your vendors? And I think we addressed it, but I want to address it from a different point of view. Okay. So how did you pick your wedding vendors? Friends advice, bridal shows, internet, or social media? And Dale Damaris was the one that was your main contact.
He was my starting point.
But what made you? All Dale said was, "Hey, here's some good people to recommend." From there, I want you to talk about how you addressed each vendor. Mm-hmm. Like, how many photographers did you talk to? How many DJs did you talk to? And what made you zero in on the ones that you got? And now, this is very important for people that go to like bridal shows. Mm-hmm. They're getting information from bridal shows that they meet for like 2 or 3 minutes. You had a personal family friend say, "Hey, here's some good recommendations."
Absolutely.
So you're in a different situation, but you still have to interview
yeah, still have to call these
because
people.
My personality could have been completely different than what you guys wanted to vibe
Absolutely.
with. So let's talk about photography and DJ first as a bundle. How did you approach all the photographers that you did and all the DJs that you did?
So I think I started with photographers, and I took the ones that Dale recommended and I called them, and I think the Boylston Rooms also gave me like a recommended vendors list. So I think I went through some of them too, and I probably called 6 or 7 different photographers. And it's so funny,
Which that's excessive. Usually it's 4 or 5 and people have had enough.
I was probably like close to 6. I want to say 6.
Good.
Because like I said, that was just one of the important things for us. Like I wanted, the photos are so important. Like these photos are forever. And it was important for me to have it was important for me to make sure we picked the right photographer. Mm-hmm. So we called them, and it would be really funny if I had my notebook right here to show you, but I took excessive notes on every single conversation. And even in the corner, I remember taking these phone calls, and I'd look at Bailey and I would just shake our head. Or we would say the personality was just not there, or like monotoned, or not very talkative. And
so these were all phone calls?
Yep. Okay. Everyone was phone calls, which would kind of made it like an even playing field in a sense. Like none of this was going on face to face where this other person was a phone call. So it was all phone calls. And then it was your phone call, and Bailey and I wrote big personality, and we loved it. Like that was so important for us. Like the energy behind it, like the excitement and the passion was so amazing. So that was a big thing. And that's how we picked photographer, is just we wanted the energy that day. With the DJ, I think we texted you and was looking for recommendations, and I think we also texted Dale, and I think I talked to a few of them or looked at a few of them, and we went with the one we went with because one, the price was reasonable, and he was so informative, and all of it.
And that was Tony from TC's.
Yes, it was
TC's disc jockey. That was Tony. Yep.
Yes, he was very informative and just knew. Like he just knew the whereabouts and what's going on. And
very seasoned. Very seasoned.
He made our day amazing because of his timeline.
Yeah.
Like I cannot
timeline.
I cannot speak enough about
Say that again?
Tony's timeline.
Anybody's, you're right. Tony's timeline.
Tony's timeline, down to the minute.
Down to the minute.
It was amazing. And just to he just being seasoned, I could say I didn't really have an idea of music, but I'm like, I don't really want this and I didn't really want that. Just something that's going to make people dance and have fun. And that's pretty much what I said. And it was amazing.
Yeah. And you had a very specific music selection also. Tony and I had a conversation that you were very specific with a lot of the music that you wanted in a certain era, the 70s and the 80s and things like that. You remember that?
I think that was my in-laws probably going up and suggesting some of that because they really like that type of music.
He got that from you guys, the list and stuff like that.
Like just the good dancing music and that's all the music like our aunts and uncles and parents listened to. So and like we listened to growing up, going to like different weddings or parties too. Got it. So like those were just the fun things to listen to. We also had some newer music playing, but it was definitely
a good mix of everything.
We had a wicked wide range. Yeah. Wicked wide range. I basically told Tony nothing that's going to make people sit. Like I just want I just wanted like a big dance, like a big fun night. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we got. He delivered.
And that's what you got. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk, before I go into the next vendors, I want to talk about photography and DJ one more time. Yep. You approached it with phone calls. Yep. Okay. Did you go to their social media? Did you go to their websites?
Yep. So I went to both websites. So both of them are phone calls. Shortly after our first phone call, when we had wanted to follow up, we met in person at your Chicopee office. Yep. And that's when we decided to go with you. And then with Tony, I think we ended up doing a couple, a Zoom, we did Zoom phone calls, which was great to put it face to face. Like that was really important. Like looking back, that was something that's super important to me, to being able to see who these people are that you're going to be spending this big day with. We're going to talk about the number 11. We talked about that. Yes.
So getting advice from other people and going to the websites and seeing that. Yes. So you, as a year into your wedding, after your wedding right now, we're coming up to a year of your wedding. What advice would you give a wedding couple that is looking at photography and DJ as far as together and just at the top part of vendors, okay? What advice would you give them in the sense of, if they're trying to find somebody, a way to save money, and they can skimp in those two areas kind of thing, would you recommend a bride and groom on their wedding day getting somebody that is less expensive to save money? Because, meaning, looking back now, in hindsight, would you have hired somebody for your wedding day that only did 2 weddings per year, or would you rather have somebody that's done 25, 30 weddings per year?
The 25, 30 weddings per year.
Why?
Because they have the experience. Like they know, like with you being our photographer, I didn't have any stresses or worried about anything. Like you had your routine down, like you knew what was going on. Like you just boom, 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 boom. Like
So you went with a seasoned,
all of our
vendors were seasoned.
Yep. Yeah. And it was really important. Like I think it made the day go incredibly smooth. Like we were so lucky with all of our vendors. You had almost like the dream team of weddings when it came to that. And that's what I wanted to get your advice of, somebody that's like, well, I don't have too much of a budget for this. Would you suggest, if somebody has a budget of two photographers, 2 DJs are the same, and one of them has only done 4 or 5 weddings and the other one has done 25 weddings, but the other one is a little bit cheaper, would you recommend spending the extra money to go for the seasoned person? I definitely would, because they get they know the vibe, they know what to do. They just have the background knowledge essentially.
All right. So we talked about websites, we talked about how you did. After that, did you do a taste testing with your caterer? Did you do a taste testing with Pete's Sweets?
Yeah. So we did taste testings with both of them. We did the taste testing at Myers. Right? So it was Myers. They're right attached to the Boyle Sims room. I forget how it worked because it was so long ago now, but they gave us the menu and I think we picked a handful of like 3 different meats to try, 3 or 4 different of everything to kind of try to narrow it down. And we ended up doing a chicken, a meat, and a fish. And honestly, the food was phenomenal.
Excellent.
It was so good. People complimented the food. And wedding food is one of those things that it's food. You're going to eat. You're going to have a meal. But like the food was truly, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
Like my husband and I, when we know that there are food trucks around, we'll go and see it or because it's really, really good.
It is. All right. So we talked about that. We already talked about number 6 with how many DJs and photographers, and you went through 3 to 6 people that was inside of there. Did you have any requirements for photo, video, DJ, dress, which I think we talked about?
A little bit,
you wanted cupcakes.
Yep.
And you know, we're going to talk about videographer down in question number 11 over there. Your style, you were very specific with your music era-wise, because you wanted people to be able to dance. And your photography was just basically the style that you ended up liking. So that answers that question. All right. Did you have any regrets on any part of your day?
I wouldn't really say regrets.
I think we talked about that. What did we say? Things you would have done differently?
Yes. Like looking back.
I don't like that word. Regrets.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's not a regret. Like I truthfully, like Bailey and I talk about it all the time, like how amazing the day was. But looking back, I think something we would have done differently is we would have done a first look. Like him and I didn't do a first look.
You didn't do a first look.
We didn't.
That was your.
Yeah, the thing I would have done different. Yeah. So like I did a first look with my dad, which I love doing. If you have the opportunity, like that's something, it was so quick to do right before everything. It really was amazing. But I didn't do a first look with Bailey because it was so set on the first look when you open up the door. However, looking back, I think I would have enjoyed us doing the first look too, knowing that way before walking down the aisle, we could have taken some photos and took a minute to just breathe together, because the day in the morning, it's just like a whirlwind and you get all this anticipation built up, but just like the excitement of everything. And it's just like the waiting game of, okay, can I go line up now? Can I go line up now? So I think looking back, I would have done a first look and done some of the like him and I photos beforehand. That way, when it came to like the photos after the ceremony, we could have done some more of him and I for any spaces we missed, but then just really focus on the photos with the bridal party. And then being able to like go into the cocktail hour a little bit more. But that's the only thing I think, looking back, I may have changed, but I don't regret how we did our day. But that's just like a reflection I have.
Correct. And every bride and every wedding couple is different. So for a bride that is on the fence, where the bride wants to do a first look, but the groom doesn't, or what would be the benefit? And I think you already said it, but I want you to talk about it one more time. The benefit of doing a first look in your formals before the ceremony, which you didn't do.
We didn't do.
Compared to what you did with all of your formal pictures being done after the ceremony. In hindsight, you said you would have done things a little bit differently and done things sooner. Was that because you wanted to be part of the cocktail hour, or was that just because of hindsight, I would have rather done more time so we could have gone to the cocktail hour?
I think just to give us more time, and then also the weather got wicked windy after our ceremony.
I remember that. So
I feel like in the morning, I don't feel like it was as windy, so it would have been nicer to do some of those ones earlier on too.
Great point.
But it's also like our ceremony was at 2:00, I believe. So, and you're up early on your wedding day, no matter what. Like if you sleep in on your wedding day, like big props to you, because it could never be me. But you're just, it's just the anticipation, the excitement, and like you just get ready so fast, because my aunt did my hair. I didn't have
that's right, I remember that.
I didn't go to get my hair done. My aunt did it. She's been a hairstylist for years. And I did my own makeup because it was important for me. Like I just wanted to feel like me, and I did my own makeup most of the time anyway. So I just wanted to feel like me and not have someone. So I think I would have been ready. I could have been ready much sooner, and we could have done some of those photos earlier on, and then not felt as rushed. Because another thing that was super important to Bailey and I was to dance. Like we wanted to dance. Like this is our wedding day. Like that was so important to us to be able out on the dance floor. So I felt like that picture time was condensed, and it was on Bailey and I, because it's what we wanted. Like those were our wishes. And I think looking back, if we split up the photo time, it wouldn't have felt like it's such a whirlwind.
Good point. Good point. That's good advice.
Yep.
All right. We already talked about that. So wedding party on number 8. So how did you pick your wedding party? Were they involved? And did you want them to be involved more?
I picked my wedding party, started with my sister. And then I kind of went with family from there. So Bailey's sister. And then childhood best friend, Megan, and then my 2 other best friends from high school, and my little cousin who's been like a little sister to me for years. So it was kind of natural it just fell in together naturally.
That's normal. That people pick their wedding party that way.
Yeah, and then Bailey's kind of did the same thing, just naturally, like kind of just all came together. And I think they were involved the right amount. That's
a good point. Just enough.
Yeah.
They would have been there if you wanted more, but they were there for what you needed them for. That's good advice.
And I think I'm to have the control of things. I just need to know what's going on. So if they were involved more in having to delegate things out, I wouldn't have had the control about it.
Good point.
So I handled a lot of I did the phone calls and the messaging because I just wanted to I wanted to be in control of it.
As you should be.
Yeah. So
whether if somebody doesn't commit to anything that you were kind of ooh, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah, and then it made it easier for Bailey and I too to have one person as the communication point. I was the one sending all the messages, so we knew where all the messages and communication was to be able to be found.
That way there was no miscommunication within the wedding party.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So they were involved with they were just the right amount. Yeah.
And then your flower girl. We need to talk about Layla coming down the aisle with the flowers.
Yes.
It was priceless.
She was priceless.
It was priceless.
Yeah.
It was priceless. All right.
She was perfect.
I'm a little biased of that. But. All right. Number 9. Did you personalize your ceremony vows or did you go with pre-written? We weren't in a church, so we didn't have to worry about that. So were they pre-written, your own vows? Did you wing it? And did you write your own?
So Dale has a handful of templates. So he sent us a handful of templates and was like, what do you like?
Yeah.
So we picked one we liked, but then we messaged him to add some things in because there was that Irish saying that we wanted tied into it. I'm a math teacher. I don't do ELAs, and my students are well aware that words are not for me. And there's just a lot of pressure, I feel with saying, have your own vows.
Yep.
When people hear, they're doing their own vows, this expectation is, in my mind, set, and it just adds another layer of pressure to us. And it was just, it's not something, we're not writers or anything like that. So, we just went with...
So you went with pre-written then?
Yep. Good. However, on the day...
You went with modified pre-written.
Yep. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, so on the day when we were saying them, and it was in sickness and in health and all those pieces... with Bailey breaking his hand 2 weeks before the wedding, I added in there and broken hands.
And broken hands.
Because it was just needed to make light of it.
Yes.
It was part of the day at that point.
Yes. With the big black cast on his wrist the whole time.
Yeah. He did not have it on for...
Was it his... I forgot. It wasn't even his ring hand either.
It was
the other. It was the other hand. That's right.
So he had it off through the ceremony.
Yes.
And then it was through pictures, and then it was on the table. So when we went into reception, he was putting it on as people were starting to get settled and do their speeches and whatnot.
Because he didn't want to bump it. He didn't want to...
Yeah. So but then after that, it was on the rest of the night.
Yeah. We already talked about, did you do a first look?
Yep.
We already talked about that. It wasn't a regret. It was just something you would have done differently. Hindsight. Yep. All right. What advice would you give somebody that's on the fence with a videographer? Meaning, I have some people that already spent money on DJ, already spent money on photographer, already spent money on dress, and they're like, is it really worth it to do it? So what advice would you give somebody that is either on the fence with getting a videographer, and what advice would you give them about a videographer?
So a videographer was one of those things we were personally back and forth with anyway. We're going to have pictures, do we really need the video? But then going back and forth and thinking about it, both of our parents still have their wedding videos. It's just something nice to have we watched it back when we got it the month after the wedding, and it was just amazing to see everything from a different perspective. You're standing up there seeing all this happen, but being able to relive it in a sense was pretty awesome. So I would say yes, I would do it. I think my downfall with it is that I was kind of back and forth with it for a little bit. So when it came time when we decided we do want one, I I think I felt like pressured and rushed that I needed it booked, which I didn't. Like we still had plenty of time, but with all my other vendors being booked, I felt like I needed it booked. A couple of things with picking a videographer. Just like I did with all my other vendors, started with a phone call because it's the easiest and quickest way to do the quick communication at first. So we did the phone call. But unlike my other vendors with our photographer and DJ, within the next month after our first meeting and saying, hey, yeah, we're going to go with you, or hey, we have some more questions. Like with Tony, we had the Zoom call, and with you, we met you in person at your old studio. We didn't really have much communication with our videographer after that. So I do think making sure communication is a priority with all your vendors, not just like that one, but with all your vendors, and to meet with your vendors. In person, at least 6 months
Grab
before
a
your
coffee.
wedding. Yes, absolutely. Just put a face to the name, see them in person,
Good
because
point.
the conversations and the way things feel over the phone is different than it is in person.
Correct.
So I would say make sure you meet with the person before right before the event or the wedding, and look at their website. Like the websites are going to tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Style-wise?
Yep.
Yeah.
And listen to the videos too. Like
Yeah.
listen so
With
that way
the volume on.
Yes. So that way you know what style they put, like what type of music they put with
Good
it,
point.
and what other things you might hear in the video.
Good point.
In that also you make sure when you do get your video back, your video is what your contract says you're getting. Like those are all important things to have.
Yeah.
But yes, I do love that we have a video of our day.
Yeah, and that's good advice saying, watching, don't just watch and see the video. You want to listen to it. And you want to, because you want, if you're watching a video with sound on a videographer's website and you feel like it's just okay or it's kind of mediocre, and you go to another person's website and you can actually feel the emotion from the music and the way that it flows and the way that it goes in and out and the look of it and things like that, you get a different experience with that. You want to go with the one that has that you can feel the experience too.
Yes, absolutely.
And getting a phone call ahead of time and a meet in person would also be great.
Yes, totally.
You also talked about anything that's in the contract. Make sure that you get with the contract with your video, voiceovers and everything else like that, making sure that you're going to get exactly what you're going to get according to that.
Yes.
Okay, great advice. All right. You didn't have a traditional wedding in the sense of Catholic church. You had it did inside of the Boylston. We did the ceremony there, and then we did everything done in there. So we didn't have to go to a church and come back.
It was really nice to have everything in one spot.
Yeah, very convenient.
It was really nice.
Especially for weather and everything else that. In your wedding, because your parents and grandparents' involvement, so did you want any traditional vows or anything else like that in wedding because of parents and grandparents' involvements? And I feel like everything you had in there was customized to what you and Bailey wanted.
Yep.
Good. All right. Yeah. I think we answered that.
We did have our grandparents walk down the aisle in the beginning.
Good.
Just like as this is what we're getting started type thing, just because like our family's so important to us. Yeah. So we did have them walk down in that sense, but after that they just stayed seated and stayed in there. But we didn't, other than that, they were just, they're just our grandparents at the wedding.
You incorporated them.
Yep.
And all grandparents should be incorporated.
Yep.
That's just,
they're so
if they're
important.
able to walk, get them to walk a certain length. If they need help, have somebody hold them by the arm and bring them down the aisle. The grandparents are a very important part as we get older to incorporate them because they will feel a sense of involvement also. And it's very important to get them involved.
Yep.
Taking pictures with them for the formals, and then they can go back to the cocktail hour, keeping them involved in things like that. So another great point when it comes to that. All right. Is there anything else you want to share to talk about? This is all about Dear Future Bride.
Yep.
The only, not regret, but the only thing you would have done differently was doing your pictures ahead of time and doing a first look so you could have been part of the cocktail hour.
Yep.
Is there any other advice that you would give any other wedding couple that is getting married in 25, 26, and 27? So what advice would you give somebody that's getting married 6 months from now? And then I'll ask you, what advice would you give somebody getting married a year from now?
Breathe first.
Great advice. Great advice.
Like relax, because as much as there's all this stress and anticipation and expectations for this day, but honestly, no matter what, it's going to be perfect because you're marrying the love of your life. Like you're going to have the best day.
Yeah.
No matter
prioritize.
No matter, like you could have cheeseburgers and French fries as your meal, and then the day's still going to be amazing.
Good advice.
So breathe, and figure out what is important to you. Is it where you're getting married? Is it a video? Is it photographer? Is it your dress? And go in order of that. But do book the venue first, because you can't really book much else until you have the venue, because every single vendor after that, photographer, videographer, cake, DJ, they're all going to ask you, well, where's your wedding? What day is your wedding? And where are you going to get married? That's all part of those pieces. So the venue has to be first. After that, stay organized. I have a whole wedding binder. I still have my wedding binder. And it's essentially the notebook I took with me everywhere. And I wrote down every single every notes from conversations that we had, all the phone calls from any meeting I had. Our guest lists are in it. The list of food is in it. What I ordered for flowers, the bridesmaids, the lineup of where they're standing. I wrote everything in this notebook. And then in the binder, I have the Boylston Rooms gave us a bunch of printouts of their itinerary or timeline of the day, and the seating chart, and what the floor plan looks like. So all of those are in there. So I just have this binder of all my wedding things. And it's just huge for me to stay organized and kind of know all of those pieces, and just enjoy being a bride. Enjoy and have fun with don't get stressed out about it. Yes, there's gonna be stressful moments, and looking back, I know I was stressed out a lot of time. But honestly, breathe and just have fun with it, because it's going to be over before you know it. Yeah.
I think that I'm not even going to ask you 1 year from now, because I think that right there sums up everything.
Yeah.
3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. It really doesn't matter. I think the first thing you said was just breathe.
First. Yeah, breathe.
Just breathe. Breathe first, and then prioritize what you need to do after that.
Yeah.
So that's really good advice.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think just enjoy your time. Go to the wedding expos if they fall within your timeline, because they're just fun to walk around and see everything. And it's amazing the things they have. Some of the cameras.
So bridal shows are really good.
The bridal expos,
bridal expos are good. Yep, good to get involved with.
I know there's 2 in the area. I think I ended up going to both of them at one point. But it just was really awesome to see. And at the time when I went to them, I think I had a lot of my vendors booked. I know I had you and Dale booked when I went to the first one, at least. So it was fun to see you guys again in person, and just look around and see what else is there. Yeah. But yeah, I would go to the shows, ask the questions, ask all the questions, make sure you have all the questions. There's no silly question.
And your best advice you can give a bride that's already been through their wedding is hiring professionals and seasoned vendors is the best advice you would give to somebody.
Yeah, it helped make our day go so smooth. I think it took a big weight off of us in a sense. All of our vendors were seasoned. They knew what they were doing, and so it made it go so smooth. I also can't speak highly enough of the Boylston Rooms, because I know you mentioned one conversation about different things, and they was a priority for them to make sure we were hydrated all night, and that we sat down and ate. We were the first ones to get our plates. They made sure we ate. They kept asking us if we needed anything. They were amazing.
When I think of the Boylston Room, the word attentive comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Very attentive to the brides and grooms. And any venue should be exactly the same.
Oh, 100%.
And you can just assume that any venue that you're going to go to, you're going to get that. But they
That's
definitely...
just my personal experience.
Yes. So one question I'm going to ask you that I did not ask you ahead of time, so this is off the cuff.
Oh.
Bailey was involved with the wedding and the planning and everything else like that. What advice would you give a bride that has a groom that's a little bit less attentive or a little bit less involved? What advice would you give a bride to get their groom a little bit more involved?
I think when it came to Bailey, I asked him, I said, what's important? What decisions in a sense matter to you? Yeah. And for him, it was the food and the dessert were the big things for him in the venue, seeing there. Sure. Other than that, all the conversations, he's if you want me there, I'm there. Yep. If you're cool doing them by yourself, that's cool too. Yep. But he was there for all the phone calls. I think the only time he wasn't there for one was the first one, or one of the ones I talked with Tony at, because he was working or something. He just couldn't be there. But it's not Bailey was super involved in all of that. Right. He was I will help out and be there when you want me to. Yeah. which was amazing. Like, he's like, if I wanted him to listen to the phone call and be in on the conversation, he was there. He may not have said anything, but at least he was listening there and like being able to give me his opinion.
Yeah.
Because again, like I'm the one always with all the questions. Yeah. So I was the one usually leading the conversations. But again, like, I just like, what's important to you? And those are the pieces that he was probably more involved with, like the dessert and the food and the guys' suits and all of those things.
So one last question.
Yeah.
When it came to, you mentioned it when you were talking to your vendors on the phone.
Yes.
And you mentioned that when you had the person on the phone, you were both writing down, and you were writing down the vibe of the person kind of thing. But you were both there listening in the phone call. It would have been different if the groom wasn't there and you were like, oh, I kind of didn't like this guy. Well, Bailey wouldn't have had an opinion because he wasn't there. So would you encourage a bride to, when you're interviewing, call it an interview, interviewing your vendors, whether it's by Zoom or phone call, having at least the groom there present so he can get a vibe for that? Would that be helpful to at least get them involved in that way?
Yep, I would absolutely. Like, they don't have to even say a word. If they don't want to talk, like maybe they just like don't really have a need. Yeah. I would, like, they could be cooking dinner, just listening in. Like, just have the phone on speaker. This is what we always did. The phone was on speaker and we were both there. So at least we could both hear the pieces. Yeah. And then sometimes he spoke up, other times he didn't speak up. But then as soon as we ended, we had the conversation. Okay, what were your thoughts? Yeah. Like, my thought was da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And so we were able to still have the conversation, and he didn't feel like he was not
excluded.
Yes, yeah. But he wasn't like in charge, like feeling like he needed to like take control of everything in a sense.
Yeah. And I feel like it's very helpful for wedding couples to hear that, because not everybody's as involved, whether they're working or different shifts and things like that. But trying to include the other one with bigger decisions as much as possible. I'm hearing a lot that a lot of grooms are like, oh, whatever you want. And that doesn't help the bride make any decisions because they want input from someone. So a groom saying, whatever you want, I don't care, it's up to you, is not helpful to the bride. And I'm calling out the guys right now. I'm calling out, they really need to step up and say, well, you at the end of the day, you can't be like, well, I didn't hire him. Well, you had the choice to hire the guy or not hire the guy. Absolutely. So getting involved in some way is very beneficial, because it takes a lot of the pressure off of the bride that's already carrying so much on their shoulders.
Yeah, just listen on the conversations. Yeah,
good. Anything else?
Not that I can think of. Just breathe and enjoy the time.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I appreciate it. So everyone, this is Dear Future Bride. This is helping brides and wedding couples make decisions on things coming up in the future, decisions that they've made, decisions that they want to make, and advice when it comes to what they should do. These are seasoned vendors that we're talking about, and this is a bride that already got married. So this wasn't like 3 weeks ago and she's giving her advice now. This is a year later. And she had no regrets, and she only had a lot of advice when it came to doing a first look or not doing a first look. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Remember to smile more, because it sure does hurt less. Peace.